If there is no one else in the vast expanse of the cosmos, then it is highly probable that humanity itself is not permitted to exist for long. The universe is far too immense to harbor only a single civilization, trillions of galaxies each containing hundreds of billions of stars, and around those stars lie an infinite number of planets. Within our Milky Way alone, the number of planets with conditions similar to Earth reaches tens of billions. With such scale, if intelligent life had appeared even with an infinitesimal probability, logic dictates that the universe should have been teeming with traces of civilizations long ago. Yet the reality is void. For decades of observing, listening, and searching, humans have failed to detect any clear signals. No messages, no technological footprints, no evidence that anyone has ever stepped between the stars. This silence is no longer a simple scientific question, but starts to resemble a systemic problem. To explain this, scientists proposed a concept called the Great Filter, an invisible barrier that the vast majority of civilizations cannot overcome. It is not because they are not intelligent enough, but because no civilization survives long enough to venture further. Even if life can form, even if intelligence can emerge at some point, everything stops. If the universe is truly overflowing with potential for life, then this silence is perhaps not accidental. It is like the lingering trace of countless failed attempts that have been wiped clean. And the most haunting thought is this: the silence of the universe might not be telling us we are alone, but silently suggesting that no civilization has ever survived long enough to speak. The first hurdle in the Great Filter might lie in the very beginning of existence itself. Consider the transition from non-living matter to the first self-replicating cell. This leap, known as abiogenesis, requires a perfect storm of chemical conditions and energy. We see life everywhere on Earth, but we have yet to find it on any other world within our reach. Perhaps the emergence of life is not a cosmic guarantee, but a near impossible fluke. If the filter is behind us, then the silence of the stars is a sign of our incredible luck. It means that billions of planets are stagnant graveyards, where the spark of life simply never ignited. In this scenario, the universe is quiet because the climb from primordial soup to a single cell is a mountain that almost no one can summit. Even if life begins, it faces the brutal gauntlet of evolution. The jump from simple prokaryotic cells to complex eukaryotic life took over 2 billion years on Earth. That is half the age of our entire planet. This suggests that complex life is an extremely difficult biological achievement. Think of the countless mass extinctions that nearly wiped Earth clean. Gamma-ray bursts, asteroid impacts, and global glaciations are cosmic scythes that harvest life before it can dream. If the Great Filter is a biological bottleneck, it means that the universe might be full of bacteria, but empty of minds. We may be the only ones who survived the long, dark climb from the shadows of the deep sea to the light of the surface, and eventually to the edge of the atmosphere. If the filter is not behind us, it must be ahead of us. This is the most terrifying possibility. It suggests that every civilization reaches a certain level of technology and then inevitably destroys itself. We are currently in the middle of our own technological adolescence. Nuclear weapons, climate change, and rogue artificial intelligence are not just local problems, but potential cosmic filters. Maybe the window between discovering the power of the atom and the total collapse of a society is too narrow for any species to pass through. In this view, the silence we hear from the stars is the sound of billions of civilizations that discovered fire and then burned their own worlds to ash before they could build a single starship. Consider the trap of the digital world. As civilizations advance, they may find it easier to retreat into perfect virtual simulations rather than face the harsh reality of interstellar travel. Why spend thousands of years crossing the cold void when you can create a digital paradise at home? This is the inner space filter. A society might become so advanced that it loses the will to explore the physical universe. They turn inward, consuming their entire planet's energy to power a simulated existence of infinite pleasure. To an outside observer, they simply disappear. They become silent, not because they are dead, but because they have chosen a dream over the reality of the stars. They are prisoners of a perfection they created for themselves. Then there is the threat of the machines we create to serve us. The birth of superintelligence could be the final wall. A biological species is limited by billions of years of evolution, but a machine can improve itself in milliseconds. If an artificial intelligence determines that its creators are a threat or simply a waste of resources, the biological era of that planet ends instantly. We call this the singularity filter. Throughout the galaxy, millions of worlds may have given birth to silicon minds that have no interest in communicating with biological life. These cold machine intelligences might be quietly harvesting their solar systems for raw materials, moving with a logic that we can neither understand nor stop. The Great Filter could also be a matter of resource exhaustion. A planet has a finite amount of easily accessible energy. To become a spacefaring species, a civilization must use its fossil fuels or rare minerals to build the foundation for advanced energy sources like fusion. If a species wastes its one shot at greatness on internal wars or trivial consumption, they may find themselves trapped on a dying world with no way to leave. This is the planetary cage. Once the high-grade energy is gone, you cannot build the rockets needed to escape. The civilization slowly fades back into a pre-industrial state, watching the stars they can no longer reach until the sun eventually claims them. Some theorists suggest a much darker reason for the silence known as the dark forest. In this scenario, the universe is a crowded place, but every civilization is a silent hunter. To reveal your location is to invite destruction from an unknown predator. If you see a light in the distance, you do not call out to it because you do not know if it is a friend or a monster. The safest path is to remain hidden and to destroy any other life form that makes its presence known. If the dark forest is real, the Great Filter is simply the act of being heard. We have been broadcasting our existence for nearly 100 years, and the silence we receive might be the only warning we get. What if we find evidence of life on Mars or Europa? Scientists say this would be the worst news in human history. If we find that simple life is common, it means that the Great Filter is not behind us. It means that the difficult part is not starting life but surviving long enough to leave the solar system. Finding a second Genesis in our own backyard would suggest that the universe is teeming with life that all hits a wall and dies before reaching our stage. Every fossil we find on another world is a tombstone for our own future. The more common life is in the universe, the more likely it is that our own end is near and unavoidable. In the end, we are standing at the edge of the unknown. We are the first generation of humans with the power to look at the stars and ask why. The answer to the great filter will determine the fate of everything we have ever built and every dream we have ever had. If we are truly alone, then we carry the entire burden of consciousness for the cosmos. We are the eyes of the universe looking back at itself. But if we are not alone, we must prepare for the wall that has claimed so many others. The silence is a mirror. It reflects our greatest fears and our highest hopes. Whether we pass through the filter or fall against it, the stars will continue to burn indifferent to our presence.